Thank you for joining us. We will begin shortly. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar sponsored by IFTA allied member Choco, using AI to transform the food supply chain. My name is Matthew Sharing, and I'm responsible for business development here at IFTA. Happy to serve as moderator for today's program. Before we get started, wanted to share a few housekeeping notes. All attendees are muted. If you have any questions, please enter them into the questions box on your screen. We will hold all questions till later in the program, but feel free to type them at any time. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the IFTA website in the coming days. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Georgie Thomas is the General Manager and Head of Operations for Choco in the United States. Choco is a global leader in order management solutions for food distributors with operations in 7 countries around the world. Georgie joined Choco in 2022, and prior to this role was an executive at DoorDash, leading one of the company's largest sales teams focused on the most important local restaurants in North America. The nearly 4-year experience at DoorDash from a pre to post IPO company led to a breadth of experiences from sales team management to investor communications. Prior to his time at DoorDash, Georgie worked in several early stage high growth startups, all focused on introducing new technology to more traditional industries. Georgie also started his career in finance, working for both a large international bank and a private equity firm. Georgie holds a BSBA in finance from Georgetown University in 2005 and an MBA from UCLA Anderson School of Management in 2013. Also joining us today is Robin Lerner, Head of Customer Support at Lobster Place NYC. Robin Lerner has spent most of her adult life at Lobster Place Wholesale, learning the ins and outs of the seafood industry. For more than a decade, she has overseen the customer service team, ensuring customers receive the best service possible. With that, I'll hand it over to Georgie and Robin for today's presentation.
Awesome. So first of all, I just wanted to say a huge thank you and shout out to IFTA and Matthew and Tessa for setting us up here. Super excited to talk today about AI and the impact on the food supply chain. And also a big thank you to Robin for being on here, who is one of our distributor customers, who's going to talk about the impact that it's had specifically on their business, which we will get to later in the presentation. So just a brief agenda for what we're going to go through today. Talk about a bit around the opportunities for digital innovation, how automation can work through your ERP, as well as including AI, making sure you have the right steps for a successful AI integration. We'll talk to Robin and her experience at Lobster Place, and then we'll end a little bit with how Choco AI works today and the impact that's had on other distributors who are using the tool, as well as some Q&A. So first step, opportunities for digital innovation. We wanted to start out with something that's a little bit more interactive. So there's actually a poll that is going to be happening at this point. I'm going to put the questions up here, or sorry, the answers up here on the screen. And then you should also be receiving a poll right now as well. So as you can see, which statement do you identify with the most? Profit margins are constantly tight no matter what we try. Competition is fierce, new players entering regularly. Growing efficiency demands put pressure on our operations. Shortages, that's business as usual for us, or no complaint is too tough for us to tackle. We'll give some time here for people to answer. All right. Okay, wow. So it's pretty interesting to see the results here. I think you're able to select different answers here, but pretty interesting to see there's a lot of concentration around efficiency demands putting pressure on your operations. That is a refrain that we hear all the time in conversations we have with distributors who are looking to improve what they're doing today. Thankfully, that's a lot of what this presentation is about, so I'm excited to get into the meat of what we're going to talk about. But obviously, a lot of these answers could apply to what's happening in folks' businesses today as well. All right. So I wanted to set the stage a little bit, talking about one of those specific efficiency activities or things where there can be efficiency that really can be gained today for distributors, and that's ordering. If you think about current ordering for a lot of distributors today, those orders are coming in through a lot of diverse methods. That might be email, that might be voicemail, that might be SMS, and sometimes some online ordering system as well. Those are all going into some form of person who processes them. That might be a central order desk, that might be an inside sales team, that might be an outside sales rep that actually has to directly manage and process those orders. But when you're getting those orders in, a lot of times it's unclear what the person is actually ordering and what they want. So it involves some follow-up to clarify and confirm. And then once you have that confirmed, that's when you get into actually entering this into your ERP or backend system where you can fully manage that order. From that point on, that's when that actually flows through to the warehouse, gets picked and packed, and actually sent out to the end user or the end operator. So one thing I want to just note here is there are a lot of individual steps that happen that make this pretty labor intensive as current ordering process today. But in addition to the labor intense nature of what you're doing, there's also a lot of potential errors that might happen with all these different steps. And as we all know on this call, errors are not only costly, they are painful in terms of what that means for your customers and the trust that can erode from a distributor to operators as well. What does ordering mean today for a lot of distributors? Let's put this together with some actual numbers. So when we think about the time spent to actually process orders, if we had a distributor who was processing 500 daily orders, that means you're spending potentially 25 hours a day just on order processing at a cost of $750 per day. Per year, that it equates to $273,000 or about 10,000 hours of actual labor just to process these orders. And then as I mentioned before, processing orders and the labor involved with it isn't the only piece that's related here. There's also potential errors that happen as well. Now, if you take that same example distributor who might have a 2% error rate, that means up to 10 errors per day or 3,600 or more errors per year, resulting in over $55,000 in lost opportunity. And not to mention the trust, again, that gets eroded from your operator to distributors when that happens. So what are we going to go into today? We're going to actually talk about how is there a way to get to 100% of digital orders. That's something that we have rolled out at Choco today. And it's a really important piece of how distributors can gain back efficiency, like a lot of you said on this call, which is really important to the long-term sustainability of your business. So we'll go into this in a lot more detail over the course of the presentation. But the most important piece is to understand, number one, we have a white label version of an e-commerce experience that distributors can offer. That's really important because it marries the best e-commerce features today of online catalog, really nice pictures, the right information per product, and a really easy checkout flow with the branding that's needed on a per distributor basis. So it really has the look and feel of your own company, and that operator knows who they're going to. But what's really important there is that we know that there is a limit on how many people are going to download an app, even if that app is free for operators. So what's really important is to have something that works as a complementary feature to that app. And that is a lot of the AI portions of what Choco has today. Quite simply, what happens is Choco can take emails, voicemails, SMS, or WhatsApp and turn those into digital orders as if they were placed through a white label app. So you can get, again, all of your orders to 100% today. So a lot of this presentation, before we actually talk about how this solution works, is really setting the stage for how AI works, and then that can build into a bit of what this looks like for the Choco solution as well. So where I want to start is, again, a lot around ERPs or backend systems that everyone has today to kind of run their own business, how AI can interact with those systems, and how all of that can work together in a really sustainable way to make sure you have the best advantages that AI offers as of today. But again, I wanted to set the stage here. What is AI? We hear that term a lot, artificial intelligence, right? So the way to think about AI is it's like having a super smart assistant. It can take lots of different data and use that data to come up with better ways to solve problems faster than a human can solve problems. Another way to think about this is someone having a genius puzzle solver. It might be a 10-piece puzzle, it might be a 5,000-piece puzzle, but every time the AI puzzle solver is able to solve a puzzle, it takes the data from solving that puzzle and it gets better at solving the next puzzle. Maybe using an example that might be more relevant or might hit a little bit closer at home with everyone on the call, it could also be like having an expert recipe book that could look at a set of ingredients and then make sure to recommend the best thing to make based off that set of ingredients and millions of different recipes that have happened in the past and different ingredients that have been used there. So what's important here is that data is a really important part of AI and how this functions, and that AI continues to get better over time. Now, there are two very specific kinds of AI that exist. There's narrow AI and then there's general AI. Narrow AI is something you probably interact with a lot today. That might be a spam filter for your email, or when you're checking out online, you get recommended products to get added to cart. General AI is the stuff you really see in movies. General AI is when you think about sort of general intelligence and someone that can take really dynamic situations and solve them on the fly, but from the AI perspective. So let's talk a little bit about where AI is today. I mentioned before in that narrow example, AI actually already exists in a lot of places, like your email. But on this side, you can see a lot of places where you might interact with AI today. If you use your phone and unlock your phone with your face, that's an example of AI. If you are using Spotify and you get a recommended song on Spotify, that's an example of AI. If you are sitting on your couch on a Friday night and you need something to watch, and you turn on Netflix, and it gives you a list of things to watch, this is a pretty example that hits pretty close home to me because this is what I do on Fridays. That is an example of AI. So the amazing thing is that AI has really been around for a while, but we've seen it in these more narrow versions of AI. And now we're starting to see more general versions of AI start to expand and be a part of what we interact with every day. But why has that actually happened? What changed so that general AI is able to persist in a way that it couldn't before? Number one, it's around computing power. You actually need super powerful computing for these computers to run the really complex algorithms that back up AI. And those computers are being created today. They are getting more powerful every single day. Next, it's data. So we've talked about this a few times. Data is the key to really train models and make sure they operate in the right way. And the thing about today, again, also is we're generating more data than we ever have in the past. That's especially true for food distributors who have really complex catalogs, a lot of sales and order history. There's a lot of data that gets generated from that point. Next, the cost of the technology is actually coming down quite a bit. As it gets more prolific, there's more people working on it. So all of a sudden, what used to only be available for very large companies is starting to be available for more smaller or medium-sized companies as well. And then for these final two pieces, they're kind of interrelated. It brings you back a lot of operational efficiency. Now, we know from that poll that we took at the beginning, this is a pretty important thing that people are worried about on this call. And that's a key benefit to AI. But what does that mean? That means it gives you the opportunity to stay competitive in the future because you start to get back maybe a couple percentage points in the way you operate, and that really impacts the bottom line and makes things more sustainable in the future as well. So we talked about this more broadly for AI as it sits today in the technology market. But what about for the food industry? As you can see on this chart, the level of digitalization that's happened in the food industry has skyrocketed over the last few years. That's not just due to AI. There's a large AI component to that. That's just also broader technology tools that are being adopted. But the future that we're seeing and that continued spike that we are expecting to see will be driven a lot by AI. And it's an important piece of why we're talking about this today. More and more people in this industry are starting to adopt these tools, and it's giving them that competitive advantage that we talked about before. So why is it really important for this industry in particular? Number one, tight margins. Again, we talked about that on the operational efficiency point. This industry is really known for its tight margins, and getting even a little bit back at some point in the process is really powerful. Number two is around regulatory compliance. There's a lot of different regulations for the industry to comply with, and AI can really help with that going forward, things like FSMA 204 and other local regulations as well. And then finally, there's quality. This industry has very demanding customers at the operator level, and you need to be able to maintain a very high level of quality, and AI can really, really help with that today. So again, one last piece I wanted to reiterate on this slide. Although this has been primarily reserved for a lot of larger players with bigger budgets, what's really exciting about today is that this is now becoming available for businesses of all sizes, which is super cool. Now you might be sitting there and being like, okay, well, AI seems pretty great. It's pretty abundant. It has a specific use case within the food distribution industry. Why don't I just actually think about building something like this myself? And I think it's important to understand that it's not as easy to just flip on a switch with these AI solutions. Although they are more accessible than they ever have been before, there's still a lot of complexity that goes on in a couple different stages with the tools. And so I want to talk about a couple different pieces here. Number one, in the initial implementation of the tool, it's really important to understand exactly how all the underlying models that the technology will be based on actually works and operates, and how to translate that into specifics for the food distribution industry. So it takes really deep technical expertise to understand how those models work today. And that's really important, not just for today, but over time as well. because as what we see, these models, they don't stay static. It's actually really good timing. What we've seen with OpenAI and ChatGPT, they just released a new model this past week. And there's a lot of really, really impressive things that this new model can do. But what that means is every time a new model like that is released, it's important that the people who are working with that model and using that model to build an AI tool understand exactly how it's changed and how to update a tool that works for the end user to be sustainable in the future. Because if you don't, what could happen is leading to some business disruption in the future as well. And then finally, it's important to understand some of where there are like misconceptions or even risks around this today. A lot of this can be around how to use data in the proper way, but also more importantly, an overestimation of what AI can do. Although AI is improving quite a lot from where it's been in the past, there's still a set of specific tasks that it's pretty good at, and some set where it's not so good at. So let's go into that a little bit. I think this is a really important slide to understand for your business. How could you use AI today? And then maybe where should you stray away from using it? Now, this first piece in terms of where does AI fit very well today? Administrative tasks, things that are pretty routine and systematic, right? That's where AI can be good. Workflows, again, when you can start to see how different pieces integrate with each other and connect, AI can really understand those connections pretty well. Process orientation. Process orientation is a lot of times dictated by specific rules. AI loves to follow specific rules. So again, a really good use case of how this could work. And then finally, data enrichment. You could take one set of data and it might be kind of messy, and then you can look to other sets of other pieces of data and bring that all together so that the first set of more messy data you can clean up or potentially enrich with other features or other thing that makes it a lot more usable for the ultimate end user. Now, okay, so you can start to see a common theme in terms of how that all ties together for the good cases of AI. But what about not so good? So let's start with strategic planning. If you were to come to a bespoke AI tool or even off-the-shelf AI tool and ask it, I'd love for you to help me build a 6-month plan for my business or a 12-month plan for my business. It's not going to be really great at doing that. Because there's a lot of specific nuances that go into how you operate your business, other parts that are not related in the data that you actually have for your business that don't make this a great use case for AI today. Secondly, things that are specific to actual customers and maintaining a really personal relationship with customers also might not be a really good fit. Now, certainly, we're going to talk about some things that could be a good fit in a sales paradigm, but it's really important, especially in this industry, to continue to have a really close relationship with your customers, and that stuff is not being automated away through AI. Okay, so we set the stage a little bit, talking about AI up front, also like why AI makes sense in the food distributor lens. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about how to think about setting yourselves up for AI in the future. Again, I think we talked about some of the pitfalls that might come with trying to do it yourself, but it's still important to make sure you understand the process for going through a potential integration and using AI in the future so that it goes in the right way. First piece of this is integration capability. Okay, AI is not a standalone tool that you'll want to just use in a silo. The beauty of AI, as I mentioned before, is that it actually can connect across many different systems and pull all those systems together. So you'll want to make sure up front that the ability to integrate across those key systems is really well known and easy to do. In a lot of cases for distributors, that means connecting to your ERP in the right way. The second piece here is really around staff training, right? So most of these tools today, they're not 100% automated. There is some component of human interaction that happens with the tool. And so if you go through a lot of work to develop and then implement a tool, but then you don't bring your staff along for the ride, well, when you go to implement that tool and actually use that tool in the long run, you're not going to see a lot of usage, and then you might have wasted a lot of time on trying to develop that tool. Next is ongoing support. As we mentioned, for why it's important to work with a partner sort of up front, you need to develop really clear understandings with that partner on where they step in versus where your team steps in on more day-to-day things, when there are updates to the underlying models, et cetera. What are the turnaround times for how technology will be upgraded in the future? That's a lot of really important stuff to establish up front, so you understand what's going to happen in the future. And again, there's no disruption to your business after that. And then finally, a huge piece of this is really understanding your ROI, your return on investment. Certainly, any of these tools that you're going to engage with, there's going to be a cost involved. And you have to really clearly understand that cost, but more importantly, understand the expectations that are going to come out of the tool. And is it really worth it? Are you getting the benefit to your entire business from employing this tool today based off the cost that you're going to pay? So this is a really great slide. I'll leave this up for a little bit. I won't go through every single question on here, but a really good set of important questions to ask based off of what we just talked about in the last slide. Making sure you ask these questions is a really key part to success in the future, to ensure that whatever AI solution you're considering or pursuing is considered in the right way, implemented in the right way, and maintain and grows in the right way as well. And until you can really answer this full list of questions, you should really question yourself if you're ready to take this leap and this journey into embarking on this AI technology push. All right, I'm super excited now to talk a little bit about how this has happened in the real world. As we mentioned at the start, we have Robin Lerner here who works at Lobster Place, and super excited. I'll flip to the next slide here. Robin, maybe it would be great to start. We got your bio. Maybe you could start just by giving us a little bit of the background and history on Lobster Place, and then we'll have a few follow-up questions after that.
Yeah, it was started in 1974 as a way to bring lobsters from Maine to restaurants in New York City. I'm pretty sure this was done in a pickup truck. Since the 40 plus years have passed, we've moved into a state-of-the-art facility in Hunts Point, and we now carry a full line of fresh, frozen, and live seafood, as well as a very curated line of specialty products, including olive oils and condiments, juices. We serve restaurants from Michelin stars to fast casual chains and everything in between. That's basically the Lobster Place.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. So honing in, and I know we have a bunch of the actual results post kind of usage of the tool, but I'd love to start a little bit before then. Can you tell me kind of prior to using the AI tool, how were orders processed and how did that work with your team?
Yeah, so orders would come in mostly via email, and we would kind of click them into our system and cross our fingers and hope that we were getting them right, and deal with the follow-up the next day when something would go wrong. I remember a time where occasionally we had to write them on pads. This is a Luddite industry, and trying to find our way forward has always been the thing that we're looking to do. So AI has changed that for us.
Awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like it was pretty manual previously. And yeah, well, walk us through now. How does it work since you've adopted the tool, and kind of what impacts have you seen on your business today?
I want to say that, like, 85 to 90% of our daily orders are coming through AI. All my team has to do is kind of check the email next to what Choco AI has put together as an order, make sure everything looks good, and click submit. 5 minutes later, it's in our system and ready to go. And just the level of efficiency that brings for us is huge, especially because we work in really like compressed timeframes where the majority of our orders come in, between the hours of 8 and midnight, at the same time that we're producing these orders. So having a tool that minimizes our need to kind of click buttons saves us tremendously.
Awesome. And yeah, as we can see, I think these are some estimates around here, but 13 seconds now to average time to process an order is pretty incredible, because I know you guys get some pretty big complex orders as well. So that's really exciting to see. I guess in closing, Robin, like, any advice you'd give to other folks who are sitting in similar seat to you today, who are considering AI and how to think about this?
Yeah, I would say do it. Simply. Yeah, it's like, be open-minded. It's not perfect. You need to feed it, and like, be patient. If the expectation is the minute you integrate AI into your universe that everything is going to be flawless, like, it's a bad starting point. Recognizing that you have to participate in the training, but over time you're going to see those results. It's definitely worth it.
Awesome. I think that's a really, really great point, Robin, to close out with, which is this is a learning model. It's a training model. You have to train it. You have to give it the data, but there's so much data to give it. There are ways to really accelerate that. So awesome. Thank you so much, Robin. Really appreciate you participating.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Awesome. So as Robin mentioned, right, what we've seen with Choco AI today has been some pretty incredible results with other folks like Robin at Lobster Place. Number one, there is the automated order processing. The orders can be processed at any time, 24/7, from these various different channels, whether that's SMS, email, or voicemail. And you're never at risk if there's someone out on your order processing team or something like that. These will always continue to get processed. The baseline of this, as we talked about, is this integration. So the integration into your ERP or whatever backend system you're using is a really key part, but it goes seamlessly into the system and it is entered in there, and there's basically no errors that are a part of that. And then again, all of this contributes to operational efficiency at the end, in terms of both the labor to actually process the order, but then reduction in any potential errors that come as a part of this as well. So what does that mean for folks who are sitting in that seat today? There's a lot of competitive advantages for thinking about technology like this. Number one, you can be a first mover. Being a first mover in a space like this is actually huge, because more than any technology in the past, AI is improving every single day. And so what that means is, number one, if you're using it today and a part of it, you get to experience and see exactly how it's moving and how it's shifting. But number two, you might actually be an influential part of how these products are developed and brought to market. That's how we think about product development on our side. We constantly talk to our customers and understand what they want to see to make their lives easier and bring that to life in our own product. Secondly, again, this helps a lot with labor shortages, making sure if it's bringing down the time to process, obviously you can be a lot more effective and efficient with your labor as well. And then finally, leading to a lot of quality gains, which helps with overall relationships with your restaurants and operators. Okay, a lot of talking for, I don't even know how many minutes we've been going for yet, but we'll take a pause here for any Q&A that has happened so far.
Georgie, great information so far. We have a question for you. Question is, we already have an online ordering system that pushes orders through to pickers in the warehouse. No one has to do anything with the order to process. I guess the question is how could AI, help them in that situation?
Yeah, so I think in that situation, which is one we hear a lot, right? I'm sure a lot of people on this call have some form of online ordering today. What we have generally seen is that adoption of online ordering from an overall customer base is generally in the 20 to 30% range. So what that means is for that 20 to 30%, that's great. It works well. And that's what we showed on one previous slide. We have a white label app that kind of does the same thing. Where we really wanted to develop this AI option was because we realized, well, wait a minute, there's potentially 70 to 80% of operators or buyers who are still ordering through the same manual channels that they did today. And we need a tool that helps to make that part digital. Because if those people are still calling into their sales rep, if they're still calling into an order line, you're not really gaining the efficiency that you'd hope as if this was adopted over your entire business.
Awesome, thank you. Another question for now here is, obviously great information, love learning about Lobster Place. I guess, what have you learned from your distributors where kind of AI has worked the best, and why did it work well?
Yeah, so I think, again, the point that Robin made was a really good one, right? I think expectation setting is really important. If you come in and think you can turn on a switch and then AI goes to just like 100% accuracy, it's all perfect and great, that's not exactly how it works, right? There are pretty high levels of accuracy out the gate from when we start, because there is a pre-training part that we can do with getting early data. But it's really two pieces. One, getting that early data to make sure we can train the model in the right way. And then number two, making sure people continue to use the tool over time. Because every time someone uses the tool, the system gets smarter, it learns from those actions, and the accuracy improves over time as well.
Awesome. Quick follow-up to the first question was, can you talk a little bit about how AI can help increase the adoption rate?
Yeah, that's a really good. So I'm interpreting this as the adoption rate of like the online channel or e-commerce portion. Yeah, it's a really good point, right? I think that there are pieces that you can look at that are around automating how people hear about that online solution and then use that solution itself. Right now at Choco, we do this in a couple of different ways. Number one, we have a live onboarding team. So we offer white glove onboarding for folks, and we actually have an actual human who calls up and gets people to place the first 3 orders through the app, because we see a very high level of retention after that. But I think you could help to supplement a lot of like what a team like that does by having AI generated content for text messages or emails or other ways that you could reach these operators and get them to know about this solution. Because usually once people start to know about the solution and have a touch point with a live person, they're able to adopt it and then use it over time. But so that's where I see the biggest opportunity is AI helping in that upfront part.
Awesome, thank you. Another question here. How long does it take for AI to be 100% operational?
Yeah, so we usually spend about 2 weeks of pre-training, and this is before we have set the model live. And this is based off of anywhere from 3 to 6 months, potentially even 12 months of order history and data, so that we can run through any seasonality or anything else per customer. It gets to a very high level of accuracy based off that. We might be already at 85, 90% just from when we start. And then within the first like 30 to 60 days, that's when you usually see 100%. It does obviously depend on the distributor and their catalog and how complex it is.
All right, awesome. Well, then we'll kind of leave it there. Just as a reminder, we do have time later on for Q&A, but back to you, Georgie.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. All right, let's keep it moving. We talked about this a little bit, right? And number one, we talked a lot about the digital orders piece. I will actually mention something because I think this does relate to the adoption piece of the online ordering. You know, I was focusing that answer a little bit more on how you get someone to place their first order, but we do have this marketing angle to this as well. So there is AI that you can use through a marketing tool that helps you to create campaigns, actually comes up with some of the copy and content for those campaigns. And then you can tag specific products, add discounts, and then those campaigns are sent directly to the apps of people who have that downloaded. And then we see pretty high conversion from people who participate in that because it's going directly to where someone orders. So this could be another way to engage with folks and talk about different products, get people to use the app. Another way we're kind of seeing AI being adopted more broadly is from a more CRM perspective. So number one, you're going to have different ordering patterns for your customers. You don't always know exactly what those ordering patterns are, and it might be hard to know with high accuracy what that is. The AI function here can actually help you determine what is the ordering pattern for each specific operator or buyer, and then you get a really easy view of that to say, is this person currently ordering? Are they at risk of not ordering, or have they stopped ordering altogether? And then by using that information, you can tie that back into the marketing tool that I just talked about and send some messages or do something through sales reps, et cetera, to engage with those folks and make sure you can get them back on the platform. So again, 100% digital orders, we can integrate pretty quickly here. We can get you going pretty fast, and those orders will flow pretty quickly on the order management side. I talked again about this piece a little bit, the marketing piece and how you can develop this content. This is a screenshot of what this would look like and where this would go directly to an operator's app. And then this is a screenshot again of like what the CRM portion of this looks like as well. So important pieces here, being able to see these ordering patterns and a really quick way to re-engage with those buyers or operators as well. Now for Choco, this tool is not just about distributors. We also have the operator facing part of this, obviously through the white label app. So some key pieces there that are important to promote adoption. We have inventory taking through the app. So you can do shelf to sheet, stock taking through the app itself for operators. Obviously there's the core sort of ordering functions that go into the app as well. And then there is a delivery check function as well. So operators are able to flag any issues that they have with deliveries, make sure that they can bring those up directly to distributors, start the reconciliation process. And this is one we see creates a lot of trust, again, between operators and distributors. Awesome. So I know I spent a lot of time talking about AI in the tool, what this looks like from a distributor basis, also from an operator basis, just a little bit about Choco. For those of you who haven't heard of us, we are a 6-year-old company. We're headquartered out of Berlin, but we have operations in 7 countries around the world, over 30 cities that we operate in as well, with 400 employees. So we're super excited to be here and talking about this. And yeah, with that, I will open it up to just broader Q&A.
All right, thank you. Another question we have here is there any possibility to get access to Choco dashboard? So I'm guessing they kind of want to see how it works.
Definitely. I mean, just reach out to us. You can reach out to me personally. My email address is georgie.thomas@choco.com. And I would be happy to get you set up to be able to view that.
Awesome. Another question here. What do distributors do with the time they gain thanks to using AI technology like this?
Yeah, this is a common question that we get a lot, right? Because, obviously what we talk a lot about is making sure we are giving time back to distributors, right? And we've seen really interesting cases of how people use this. We've had some distributors who have repurposed half of their customer service teams to become outside sales reps. We have people who start to use customer service teams in a different way in general, which might be like reactivation or winning back churned customers that they had. On the sales rep side, what we see in general is they have a lot more time to prospect and get out there in the field and actually still talk to customers. So I think that's a really important piece, right? This isn't about getting in between a sales rep and their customers. Hopefully this takes away the time for something that's a little bit more of a less value add task, where sales reps can then spend a lot more time with much more important tasks in terms of building relationships with their customers.
Awesome. Next question here. Can Choco integrate with QuickBooks and send the orders automatically?
Yes. So we integrate with over 200 plus ERPs. That's kind of the bread and butter of what we do. QuickBooks, we actually have a plugin with. So a lot of times with QuickBooks, we can launch that integration in less than 24 hours.
Awesome. And I think another question around there is, does it also integrate with SAP?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Another question here. Maybe you covered a little bit, but how many distributors are you kind of currently working with at Choco that are using AI?
Yeah, I can't give the fully exact number, but across the globe, I can say we're in the hundreds of distributors who are adopting the AI tool today.
All right, super. I think you touched upon it a little bit in terms of what you integrate with, but specifically some ERPs. What are those, and then how long does it take to get those kind of up and running?
Yeah. So again, we integrate with over 200 plus ERPs. Everything from SAP, QuickBooks, Odoo. We have another plugin with. We do everything from just normal sort of flat file SFTP to API connections as well. We have an open API. So it really just depends on the individual setup for that ERP and the way those distributors are set up. But we have a full team of integration engineers who build out like the broader platform for integrations. And then we have specific resources that are called solution engineers that actually build individually each integration for every premium partner we work with.
All right, awesome. Another question here. If someone didn't want to integrate Choco into their ERP system, is it still possible to use Choco?
Absolutely. We definitely have cases of that. There's various reasons why someone might not want to have their this integrated back into their ERP. Some set up with their ERP, some bespoke way they kind of use their ERP. That's totally a okay option for us. We have ways of doing this without fully integrating as well.
All right, super. I'm not sure how much you can share about this, but someone's interested about kind of the pricing model. So is there anything you can share about pricing, or is that kind of more of a follow-up call?
Yeah, I think that's a follow-up call. It is like a little bit dependent, again, based off of things like ERP setup, total number of operators we're talking about, et cetera. But again, happy to discuss specifics of that with anyone who's interested.
Okay, awesome. Another question here. How does your AI feature know which product is being ordered? For example, they say tomatoes and there's 7 different types of tomatoes offered.
Yeah, really great question. I think it's one of the most common questions we get when we talk about this, because like If it can't do the matching, then it's not very valuable as a tool. So a lot of this, again, goes back to that concept I was talking about of pre-training. So before we launch anything with any distributor, where we start is saying, give us X number of months of data. 3 to 6 months is usually what we ask for, but we can take more. And then what that data shows us per operator is exactly how orders came in and their invoices. So, they might say they want tomato, and we can look at the email that says it's just a tomato, but then we can match that back to their invoice and say, well, actually, when they say this tomato, this is what they're actually ordering. And then we bring those two things together for a specific customer. And then that's what the model kind of realizes and remembers over time, so that it's predicting the right thing going forward. Important piece here is that there is like a review screen. So, as Robin was talking about, right? Like I think it was like 13 seconds per order. That 13 seconds, that's becoming because someone is still going through one last final manual check, and you get in a review screen to make sure everything that comes out of the AI tool matches what it actually said in the order. And if for some reason it is off, as soon as you make a correction in that review screen, the model remembers and improves for the next time.
Awesome. Yeah, it kind of goes back to one of your first slides about, what AI is, and it kind of uses data that's been created before, so then for future, correct?
Yes, exactly.
All right, awesome. I'm learning something new today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question here is, if we order from different distributors, are the operators going to receive their orders in different slots?
If we order from different distributors, I'm not sure I'm fully following the question here. But just to, I guess, bring it back to the way the ordering would work, for one operator to one distributor, right? This operator has this relationship with this distributor. They have the option through Choco to download a white label app, and then that is all branded as that distributor, and they place the order, and that gets connected directly to the ERP. Or if they're like, I'm not downloading any app, I don't care if it's free or not, they can still call in, they can still text, they can still send an email, and then we're still able to take all those forms of ordering and turn that into a digital order for the distributor as well.
Okay, awesome. We have time for a couple more questions. So next one here, can you give us a sense of what the success rate is of AI?
Absolutely. So, again, like I said, in the beginning, you don't start out at 100% accuracy, right? And I think it's important going in with the right set of expectations. I think you're usually probably in the mid 80s or something like that. But you can get to 99% plus accuracy over the course of about 30 days by continuing to use the pre-training data and then being able to make any corrections that happen over time over those first 30 days as well. So we have a lot of distributors who are in that 99% tier of quality as it relates to the tool itself.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I think don't see any more questions currently, so maybe just hand it over to you to kind of finish up. And how do folks get in touch with you, kind of for follow-up, things like that?
Yeah, thank you so much again, Matthew, and really appreciate the time here to talk about this. We're very passionate about this and the impact that we've seen with people like Robin and on Lobster Place. So yeah, we would love to be able to talk to anyone who's interested in this. We service all parts of the country, and we're happy to kind of come in person and show a live demo for anyone who would like to see it. People can reach out to me. Again, my name, I think you can see it on the screen, georgie.thomas@choco.com. Send me an email directly, and I can get you to the right place and started in the process. Otherwise, you can go to our website, choco.com, and then there's a button you can press there to request more information, and we can get in touch that way as well.
Awesome. And will you be at any upcoming IFTA events?
Yes, we are at the we're at IFTA Solutions. which we're super excited about. We're a proud sponsor there, so excited to hopefully see some folks at that event as well.
Awesome. Well, with that, I just want to say thank you again to Georgie and Choco for sponsoring and for presenting such great content today. Definitely learned a lot. We look forward to seeing everyone again on our next webinar, which will be on June 6th. So with that, I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.